Can you imagine how long Cody Brown ignored Mary's emotions? Years of rejection and emotional disconnection finally cracked the relationship wide open. On Sister Wives Season 19, Episode 26, Mary's path to neglect and eventual divorce was back in the spotlight, and viewers can't stop discussing it. The season brought to light one of the most painful aspects of the show, the way Cody treated Mary. In spite of calling her his favorite ex-wife, the remark didn't sit right with any of his previous wives, not even Mary herself. The tension behind that statement spoke volumes. Let's not forget, Mary and Cody were once the foundation of the Brown family. But years later, Cody's emotional withdrawal was no longer tolerable. Although they legally divorced in 2014 to enable Cody to marry Robyn and adopt her children, Mary had still insisted on keeping the spiritual connection. That, too, finally dissolved, signaling an absolute end to their relationship. But here's where it gets even more intense. While Cody attributes his unsuccessful marriages to his wives, Mary, Janelle, and Christine see the situation in an entirely different light. It wasn't the women who changed, they claim, but Cody. And everything went wrong when Robyn came into the picture. Mary slowly became a background figure as Cody wed Robyn. From her home in Las Vegas, Mary noticed fewer and fewer visits from her husband. The emotional abandonment became intolerable. For more than a decade, Mary waited silently for the bond to return. It never did. This wasn't merely a collapse of love. It was a gradual unwinding of self-esteem. And Mary finally had enough. As season 19 wraps up, emotions are running high, not just because of the ongoing relationship drama, but also due to the heartbreaking passing of Garrison Brown. The final episodes brought raw emotion to the forefront, giving fans a rare glimpse into the real-time struggles of the Brown family. And just when we thought the drama had peaked, the tell-all happened. If you saw these special episodes previously, you'll recognize that Cody typically evades the tough questions. But not this time. During part 1, host Sukanya Krishnan probed harder, and it paid dividends. When she asked Cody directly about his open favoritism toward Robyn, things went kablooey. Rather than hitting the issue head-on, Cody embarked on one of his classic rants about how favoritism is natural. You have different relationships with your children, your friends. He persisted. You find higher love, and people slap you down for it. And he didn't stop there. Cody doubled down, declaring his love for Robyn as something divine. I'm walking around flipping two birds because I'm so sick and tired of being guilted for loving Robyn, he said. The theatrics were off the charts. But Suki didn't back down. When she called him out for contradicting himself, Cody laughed into a strange analogy about comparing love to sales competition. There's always a better salesman, he said. Am I supposed to go murder him because I'm jealous? Hooked yet? Because it gets even more jaw-dropping. Cody attempted to excuse the failure of his other marriages by extolling Robyn's communication abilities and emotional maturity, suggesting the other wives just weren't on the same wavelength. Another wife wasn't in that space, he insisted. That's his take on it. But is that the entire story, or merely Cody's attempt to deflect responsibility? Fans are torn. One thing's certain. This season of Sister Wives uncovered secrets we never imagined we'd get to see, revealing painful emotional scars and long-buried realities. So, was Mary justified in finally leaving? Or did Cody rewrite history to fit his spin? Tune in, because if this tell-all is any guide, there's more tea to spill. And you won't want to spill a drop. Cody Brown went on with his fervent defense, asserting that every one of his unions had its own exclusive trajectory and its own likelihood of succeeding or failing. Every marriage had the potential to succeed or fail, he asserted, leaving the blame squarely in each pair's court. But not everybody bought what he was selling. When host Sukanya Krishnan asked Janelle for her opinion, she didn't hesitate. Janelle assured Suki confidently that she's always respected herself, no matter what Cody might think. Christine also spoke up, letting on that throughout her marriage, her whole life was centered on what the family required, what the kids required, and above all, what Cody required. And as for whether or not she felt Cody respected her, Christine hesitated, then confessed she wasn't even certain Cody thought he was required to respect her. But just when the discussion seemed to have hit a deep emotional note, it took a bizarre and jaw-dropping twist. And now, Get ready for the most cringeworthy moment of the tell-all. One viewers say they'll never be able to erase from their minds. Let's discuss the notorious tongue scene. Viewers on social media have dubbed it the most embarrassing sister wives moment in history. And that's saying something. On the tell-all, Cody and Robyn, no longer having to be coy about their relationship anymore, completely went in on PDA mode. Cody, recalling a previous tell-all, fawned over a photo of Robyn that had her fresh out of the makeup room. He almost swooned on TV, waxing poetic about how gorgeous she was with the same enthusiasm one would have when falling in love for the first time. Then, something happened. Cody pretended to hold up a phone to gaze at Robyn's photo. With over-the-top drama, he allowed his tongue to flail dramatically out of his mouth. But he didn't end there. Cody proceeded to make a slow, cringeworthy swipe through the air with his tongue, simulating licking Robyn's photograph. Fans were left agog, disgusted, left speechless. If you did have an appetite beforehand, chances are it was gone by then. But hold on a minute. There's some more cringeworthiness where that originated from. Robyn, not to be outdone herself, spent most of the interview staring at Cody with a wide-eyed, lovesick gaze. And in one painfully awkward moment, she started delicately picking imaginary objects out of his hair, like a mom bathing a kid. Romantic? Most fans didn't consider so. Most called it over the top and babying. These strange displays of affection reveal didn't just make fans uncomfortable, they underscored the enormous emotional rift. For while Cody and Robyn were keeping up honeymoon phase antics, Christine, Janelle, and Mary were all about healing, growth, and moving on. The contrast was dramatic. While Cody and Robyn swooned over each other, the three original wives gave serene, introspective interviews. They spoke in plain language about their lives, their hurt, and their freedom. They appeared grounded, centered. Cody and Robyn, on the other hand, seemed stuck in a fantasy bubble and unaware of how their actions appeared. Cody's continued attempts to defend his unsuccessful marriages by talking about Robyn's communication skills and divine love only worsened in the minds of many viewers. Rather than taking responsibility for his own failures, he turned the tables to make it seem like Robyn was just operating on a different level than the other women. But here's the truth. Viewers aren't believing it. Rather, fans are criticizing the way Cody and Robyn appear to elevate their relationship over others. The oozing compliments, the over-the-top gestures, the unfiltered displays of affection. They're not being perceived as romantic. They're being perceived as performative. And most of all, they're highlighting just how emotionally removed Cody has become from the women who used to stand by his side. So now the question is, what comes next? With Christine, Janelle, and Mary choosing self-respect and healing, and with Cody and Robyn seemingly stuck in a public love spiral, fans are left wondering how long this dynamic can really last. One thing's for sure. Sister Wives Season 19 didn't just tell a story, it exposed one. And we're all watching to see how the next chapter unfolds. Cody Brown's take on fixing his relationships may be the most confusing revelation so far. Rather than explaining how he had acted toward Mary, Janelle, and Christine throughout the years, Cody concluded that the answer was to remake them into copies of Robyn. Yes, seriously. Instead of owning up to his preferential treatment, he confessed on the tell-all that he used to try to replicate his relationship with Robyn with his other wives. In Cody's mind, this was his means of establishing equality. The issue is, however, that none of the other ladies wanted to be like Robyn. They wanted to be themselves, a love for themselves, not replicated as someone else. That instant had followers everywhere, shaking their heads. Cody has frequently rewritten history in his interviews. And this week was no exception. He stated he's sick of being guilted for seeking what he described as a higher love with Robyn. But fortunately, Mary and Janelle weren't believing his spiritual love fairy tale. Instead, they brazenly mocked it. Host Sukanya Krishnan brought up the fact that Cody used to say he wanted to raise all his wives up to where he was with Robyn. Janelle couldn't help but laugh. Would have been nice if he'd spoken about that back in the day, she said in a sarcastic tone. Maybe it's just revisionist history. She pointed directly into the camera and added that Cody never brought it up, never even attempted it. Mary seconded the thought with a firm dismissal of Cody's fantasy. "I'm not going to be Robyn," she announced. "I'm Mary. I want to be my own person. I don't want to be her. Asked if Cody ever possibly could have loved her equally, Mary said, only if he accepted me. But he didn't. Not for 12 years. Maybe more. And while Cody was occupied spinning tales, Christine had a truth to share. One that made her feel embarrassed, even ashamed. At the tell-all, Christine did something that resonated with viewers on a deep emotional level. She confessed she used to create her whole world around what Cody wanted, needed, and how the family needed to accommodate him. It's a strange and shameful thing to say, she confessed, but I likely obsessed over that man more than anything. Even when he wasn't present, she said, she'd be scheming, thinking, adjusting, just waiting for him to arrive. We'd have to change what we were doing in order to fit him. Christine clarified, that's not okay. It's not fair. It made our lives a cycle in which everything centered around Cody. That's not a partnership. That's control. But the cringeworthy revelations did not end there. Cody's recent remarks regarding fatherhood fueled additional outrage, this time from fans who could not fathom what they were hearing. In another jaw-dropping instance, Cody attempted to clarify the contrast between the manner in which mothers and fathers love their kids. As per him, there exists a unique form of showing love by dads, differing from the moms. But viewers didn't interpret it as a considerate observation. They interpreted it as another rationalization, another excuse-making to absolve himself of his emotional detachment from the kids he left behind after having chosen Robyn. Let's not forget, Cody had 13 kids between his marriages, 6 with Janelle, 6 with Christine, and 1 with Mary. For years, he was considered to be the head of a large, polygamous family. But after Robyn came into the picture, his priorities shifted. The father figure who once preached oneness began retreating from everyone but his 4th wife. Following the breakups from Mary, Janelle, and Christine from 2021 to 2023, Cody got into a monogamous relationship with Robyn, and all changed. And what about his children? Most of them now feel abandoned. Cody insisted that his adult children apologize to Robyn for disrespecting her. But when they declined, he distanced himself. The man who previously declared he cherished family togetherness chose loyalty to Robyn over bonding with his very own children. It's this trend, prioritizing one relationship and ignoring the others, that has disillusioned viewers. As fans of Sister Wives look back on these bombshell confessions, one thing becomes more and more evident. Cody Brown didn't lose 3 wives. He lost the trust of a family. And as season 19 concludes, one question lingers in the air. Can the damage ever be reversed? Or is the Brown family's tale now one of irreparable division? The Brown family's fractures deepened over the years. The family no longer even celebrated Christmas together. Cody's communication with his children dwindled to near nothing. Birthday phone calls were few and far between for some. Robyn's children, on the other hand, received plenty of love, attention, and presence, giving proof of the increasing emotional rift within the family. Cody's recent statements have only deepened this rift. By implying that mothers are born with a built-in, unconditional love for their children, and that fathers need to cultivate theirs, he appeared to be justifying his emotional remoteness, presenting fatherhood as inherently less maternal rings as an effort to deflect blame for his troubled relationships with his kids. Sadly, these comments are bound to drive them farther away. Even though he knows his divisive comments won't please his children, Cody doesn't seem to care about repairing his relationships anymore. His status as the family's bad guy has only been cemented in many Sister Wives followers' eyes. Others have criticized him for upholding outmoded and damaging gender roles, as viewers had shared tales of fathers who were as caring as mothers, proving Cody wrong. It's obvious that Cody's explanation for his emotional distance is based on old-fashioned, and in this case, downright outdated, perceptions of parenting. The show's fans have every right to call him out for disregarding emotionally present fathers who are heavily involved in the lives of their children. At the same time, the drama doesn't stop with Cody himself. Sister Wives cast member Paedon Brown, popular for his wit, but occasionally going a bit too far, made headlines on the last Mother's Day when he sent out a provocative message on Instagram. Although he insisted it was in jest and never threw shade, Paedon's comments regarding Robyn tasted bitter and belittling and added more tension to the family dynamics. Paedon has been known to criticize his own dad before. contributing to this public acrimony. Mary Brown has candidly discussed how Cody's pedestal treatment of Robyn impacted the whole family unit. This favoritism fed into his disintegration with the other wives, each of whom ultimately departed from him. Though Cody maintains he's been unduly villainized, Mary considers his expectations to be highly unfair and painful. The three ex-wives, Mary, Janelle, and Christine, have all weighed in on their side of the situation, laying out how differently they were being treated since Robyn took center stage in Cody's life. But it's just being in love, Cody asserts, and he's always feeling guilty about his feelings. In a recent episode aired on May 25th, Cody declared, "I'm so sick and tired of being guilted for loving Robyn. There's a divine aspect to our relationship, and we've been slapped down for it." But this divine love argument only revealed the crux of the issue. Cody didn't respect his other wives on an individual level. He wanted them to all be Robyn. But Mary wasn't about to let that happen. "I'm sorry, I am Mary," she told him firmly. "I'm not going to be Robyn. I don't want to be Robyn. I'm my own person." Janelle and Christine both felt similarly frustrated. Janelle ruled out Cody's assertions as revisionist history, noting that he never told her these things when they were still together. "Would have been nice if he communicated that back then," she flatly declared. Following its long mid-season hiatus with dramatic moments galore and coping with the heartbreaking departure of Garrison Brown, Sister Wives Season 19 was finally able to culminate in its much-awaited tell-all episodes. The reunion was the only time when viewers got a glimpse of the unfiltered feelings and unsettled issues that still linger in the Brown family. With host Sukanya Krishnan at the helm, Cody Brown was put on the spot with difficult questions and even more difficult truths. But whether this moment will heal or merely divide remains to be seen. Following every season finale of Sister Wives, it's the custom for Cody Brown and all his wives to get together for a massive tell-all reunion, sorting out the drama and telling the fans the whole story. This season, however, things were quite different. As Mary, Janelle, and Christine have all left Cody behind, the cast members seem to come in separately to offer their views on the latest season. On May 25th, Part 1 of the explosive interview aired. Beginning on a somber note, the family had asked that the sad death of Garrison Brown not be addressed in these episodes, out of respect for the family's privacy regarding this devastating loss. Cody's arrival, though, did nothing to mend his reputation in tatters. When host Sukanya Krishnan confronted him with hypocrisy, reminding him how he said he wished to take all his relationships to the level of the one with Robyn, yet confessed that he could not love all his wives equally because they are different individuals. Cody lost his temper. Boldly, he declared to Sukanya, "Try being in a polygamous marriage and see how that works out for you." The tension escalated as Mary jumped in, accusing Cody of hypocrisy. She recalled how he would not grant her the spiritual release she needed after ending their marriage. While Cody would claim that he couldn't divorce his wives because of religious reasons, he also claimed he no longer practiced that religion when it came to ending their marriage in the eyes of the church. Mary called it a double standard. Sadly, all too familiar with Cody. Responsibility has never been easy for him. Sukanya pushed him on former statements to deny ever really loving Mary, Janelle, and Christine. Cody admitted it wasn't easy being held accountable for words uttered in the heat of passion. At least, he admitted he hadn't taken full responsibility for what was said. He also admitted he previously had thought he was tending to all his relationships the same, but, in hindsight, realized he wasn't. When the discussion became about the dissolution of his marriage to Mary, their accounts dramatically branched apart. Mary described how the church issued her a spiritual divorce due to abandonment, a designation that highly offended Cody. He disclosed that Mary had evicted him from the couple's home after she was caught having an online affair with a catfish. He never came back. As far as he is concerned, Mary perceived this as abandonment, although he attributed their breakup to the catfish experience. They both have some merit. Mary's scandal certainly tested their marriage, but Cody's emotional distance during that period speaks for itself. He remained married to Mary, hoping she believed that there was a possibility their marriage could be salvaged. But he was not interested in doing the work to make it happen. He emotionally abandoned her and then responded with anger and rebelliousness when she finally tried to sever the marriage. The tell-all had only just begun. The four-part Sister Wives reunion began with host Sukanya Krishnan catching up on all the season 19 drama. During the interview, Cody once again complained that he was being guilted for loving Robyn, his sole remaining wife. Fans know Cody and Robyn's journey to monogamy began in 2021 when Christine publicly left him. The following year, Janelle revealed her separation. And by January 2023, Mary confirmed her near non-existent marriage with Cody was officially over. Complicating the family dynamic further is Christine's son, Paedon Brown, who is staunchly loyal to his mother. In front of the cameras, Paedon is easygoing and at home with Christine. However, his dynamic with Robyn is a lot more tense. He is guarded and aloof, exuding the stereotypical wicked stepmother dynamic. Children of broken families tend to encounter gigantic emotional challenges, some bottoming out in depression as they cope with dramatic changes. Paedon has slowly adjusted to Christine's relationship with her new boyfriend, David Woolley, but the family soap opera still rolls through their lives. In spite of all the theatrics, Paedon Brown has not dropped the painful history. Always a showman, this Leo lives for attention, and he certainly has superstar presence, just as his parents do. But Paedon will do nearly anything for guffaws, likes, and hits. He's given sensational interviews in which he goes deep into his problems with the various members of the Brown family. On Mother's Day, Paedon was at it again, writing a message wishing a great day to almost every mother out there. That phrasing didn't go over well with a lot of fans, reading as a diss of single mothers. But did that really reflect his intention? Not quite. What he appeared to be saying is that not every mother deserves a great Mother's Day. He wasn't necessarily singling out single moms. In fact, 99.9% chance Paedon was shading Robyn. This is precisely how Paedon works, agitating the pot in his head, understanding precisely how individuals will take his words. And although he denies that anything was done wrong, he well understood that people would misinterpret. In an attempt to cover his tracks, he swore on his life that he wasn't throwing shade, while throwing shade over and over again. He even made fun of himself, admitting that he is sometimes a mouth muncher when he says sorry. Occasionally, Paedon's efforts at making peace only serve to make matters worse. But with his showman's flair, everything's done with a wink and a nod. Paedon Brown might actually be the perfect candidate for his own Sister Wives spin-off. Controversial enough to draw viewers in, but risky enough that one misstep could get him canceled. He has zero filter, which makes for interesting TV but could also push him to go overboard, especially when it comes to blasting Cody and other family members. If Paedon keeps up these public gaffes, he risks being called a clout chaser. Some people just can't live without attention and seem miserable without it. For these drama seekers, acting out for reactions can be entertaining, but it often backfires, making them look like clowns. Sometimes Paedon is more straightforward. Speaking to US Weekly once, he didn't hold back in criticizing Robyn. Now, regarding the Sister Wives Season 19 tell-all, it was filmed in the aftermath of the season's fall 2024 premiere, fueling speculation regarding the behind-the-scenes game plan and cast emotional state. Season 19 came on the heels of a chaotic time for the Browns. With Mary, Janelle, and Christine already estranged from Cody, Robyn was the sole wife left in what had once been a plural family. The seasons back in fall 2024 brought intensity, with a focus on the changing relationships and repercussions of the family's breakup. The timing of the tell-all's production was provocative. Those specials usually take place after a season has completed airing, allowing time for the cast to respond to all they and others had been saying on television. But for season 19, TLC opted to produce the tell-all sooner, probably to catch spontaneous, unguarded feelings, and off-the-cuff reactions. This left the cast not having viewed the entire season and not knowing about specific confessionals and intimate moments. Without the luxury of hindsight or the ability to react to unseen episodes, they answered solely from personal experience and memory. Doing it this way brought about some of the most raw and powerful moments. Mary, who officially revealed her breakup with Cody prior to the season, seemed relaxed but resolute about moving forward. She described the isolation and desperation of her last few years in the marriage and confessed she spent a lot of time trying to cling to something that wasn't functioning. Her testimony evidenced a clear move away from pain towards healing, even though the emotional wounds still linger. Janelle, always one of the family's most independent voices, offered a pragmatic view at the tell-all. She talked about how separating freed her to focus on herself and her children, emphasizing her newfound personal strength. For Janelle, her marriage to Cody had always been more business arrangement than love match. Her choice to leave was rooted in a strong sense of self-preservation. But she spoke from a raw place about the disintegration of their family, particularly the impact it has on the younger children who now must endure split holidays and strained relationships with their parents. Janelle did not hesitate to describe the dysfunction she experienced in her marriage. She explained how unsupported and emotionally abandoned she frequently was, a far cry from the bubbly facade she attempted to maintain in the early years of Sister Wives. Her evolution over the years is one of the show's most dramatic arcs. Robyn, however, still married to Cody per law, was mostly playing defense for most of the tell-all. Crying, she refuted claims that she was responsible for the collapse of the family, denying that she ever wanted to be left as the sole wife. But her tearful appeals did not move every fan, as many of them now consider her a polarizing member of the family. At the tell-all, Robyn sat alone, literally and emotionally. As the other wives congregated, Robyn's interactions seemed isolated, strained by tension and past issues. Cody himself was a complex person. He vacillated between defensiveness, regret, and frustration. Although he admitted to having made errors, he appeared unwilling to accept complete blame for the fall of the family. He tended to portray the breakups as two-sided or unavoidable, as mitigating his contribution toward the emotional estrangement that had occurred between himself and his wives. His tone was mixed, combative when cornered by the host, nostalgic when looking back at times better. But his seeming denial of even seeing the emotional needs of his past wives only widened the chasm that had come so painfully into focus throughout the season. What made this tell-all different was a certain irrepressible undercurrent of finality. In previous seasons, there had always been a glimmer of hope, no matter how small, that they could make up. But by this special, that was not only gone, but essentially eliminated. Each wife was creating her own destiny, and Cody no longer sat at the center of their worlds. The tell-all acted as an emotional coda, a space for the women to take back their stories, vocalize what they'd endured, and communicate what they wished for in the future. Shooting so shortly after the season opener also allowed the producers to record the cast members' reactions near actual events. For instance, Mary had recently started a new business venture. Christine was in the process of preparing her wedding, and Janelle was in the process of moving into a new house. These major life events lent significance to their words, placing their comments firmly in the here and now rather than in far-off memories. This timing also added rawness to the special. Emotions were new, memories sharp. Christine's excitement about her upcoming wedding was contagious. Mary's loss and grief were still intense. Janelle's voice was characterized by guarded hope. And for Robyn and Cody, the exhaustion of attempting to hold the family together was more and more apparent. Fans went straight to social media, analyzing each word and movement. The tell-all dominated for days as viewers weighed Robyn's tears, Cody's blame game, Christine's radiant makeover, and Mary and Janelle's bittersweet closure. Some thanked TLC for providing the women with a stage to air their truths. Others wondered if Cody was receiving too much screen time, considering his declining popularity among dedicated viewers. The tell-all host did not hesitate to ask difficult questions. Cody was questioned on favoritism. Robyn was challenged on her protestations of innocence, and every wife was allowed time to get out her side of the story. The aim was not to resolve conflict, but to leave space for honest truth-telling. It made for an emotional roller coaster, with uncomfortable truths and heartfelt introspection exposed. By its conclusion, it was apparent the age of Sister Wives as a drama about plural marriage had concluded. What was left was a story of individual development, healing, and the consequences of a relationship system that was not able to fill the emotional requirements of all parties involved. The Brown family was no longer one unit, but instead, a galaxy of individuals bound together by history, yet each proceeding on his or her own terms.